We're ready.
All right. Well, here we are again. What is this? Week number 5?
I think so.
Yep, I think it's week number 5 of Digging In with Bonnie. We have DJ Menace over here.
Very nice to be here.
I'm finding out he can be a menace. He just doesn't do it in front of mom. Don't forget, though, tune into his radio show, qthradio.live. Oh, don't forget the www. He's pretty good on there, and he's got some really good things coming your way. So tune in and listen to some of the good music and see what he has to say.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. So today's topic is this, that, and the other. I went on my Facebook and I asked for some good topics, and I got some good suggestions. So we're going to start with, maybe some silly stuff, I guess you could say. Let's talk a little bit. Well, first of all, do you ever notice when you go to a restaurant, or even a store, you go and use the bathroom, and there's a sign that says employees must wash hands?
Oh, God. I hate those signs.
Doesn't that concern you that these people that are serving you food have to be told to wash their hands?
It does.
I don't know. Every time I walk into a bathroom in Mount Public, I think, wow, is this what we really came to? You got to tell adults to wash their hands.
Right?
Anyway, I thought that was funny. So, but there's some things going on Facebook that people think are fun and they're cute. And even I have a hard time not joining in.
Mm-hmm.
But some of these cute games that we're playing, like your favorite color or where you grew up, your best friends. These are things people use to hack accounts. That's how you lose your identity, because somebody can come in and take it. They take those, they use them in different forms to try to get your security questions and things like that. So as cute as they are, you might want to rethink playing them and, just think hard before you put too much information out there. That's always a big thing. And then you have the share this if you want a lot of money. Folks, there is no free money. The only way you're going to get a big check is if you work for it. And how big it is will depend on what kind of job you have and how much you're willing to do to make that money. So, don't share this, that, and the other, because nobody's sending you any money. Wynonna Judd, Tyler Perry, none of them are sending us anything. They're going to tell you, you want some money, go work for it. So, what do you think when you see those things?
Well, first off, I do really think scam. And it really is a shame that it's going that way, and so many people are falling for it.
Really, when you see, hey, Tyler Perry is going to send so-and-so this much money, but this is what you have to do. Isn't it kind of enticing? Aren't you kind of curious to see what the outcome is going to be?
Yeah, quite curious to see what the outcome would be, but...
so far, Tyler Perry's given away money, cars, so has Wynonna.
Right.
I'm sure there's other ones out there that just aren't registering right now. But yeah, those are, even when they play those little games, like, can you find, how many of these can you find or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
I did that, thinking it was just a simple question, and, they can't steal my identity doing that. All of a sudden, I'm getting messages, and you got to send us this, this, and this, and don't you want your money? Well, no, I just wanted to see if I could actually have the answer right.
Right.
That's all I wanted to do. It was for fun. But then you just have to block them. Another big one was something that they had going on Wynonna's page. And I commented. The next thing you know, they wanted me to come to VIP and send them the Apple cards or however that works. And I kept having to tell the guy, leave me alone, let me be. This is, So again, block. So
Right.
yes, definitely be careful of everything you're doing on Facebook. Some of it really is fun and innocent. Some of it can create a lot of havoc in your life.
Very true.
So what was something you did that you felt like the reply of it was a scam?
Well, there was one time I was looking for a work from home job. That way I could do that in addition to a full-time job just to make a little extra pocket money.
Yes.
And I think I'd posted an ad on Craigslist to find one, and either that or I replied to it. I can't remember. It's been several years now since I've done that, and one person had gotten a hold of me and messaged me and said, I'll send you a check. You buy these products and send them to me,
Oh,
and um, whatever is left over is yours to keep. And so of course, out of curiosity, I continued with it, but only to a point. I would never cash that check.
okay.
So and because I never did cash that check, I was actually disparaged from um humility and everything like that. So because it looked legitimate. The check looked legitimate.
They do, if I understand right, what they do is once, the check cashes or whatever, or they try to put it through, it's declined.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're just out all that money.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and I think that first check was something like almost $300. So
start small. Yeah.
so had I actually cashed that check and it got canceled before it went through or whatever,
Mhm.
I would have been responsible for that, and they would have
Absolutely.
deducted that $300 from my account, which I didn't have. So
Right.
I would have been in a terrible situation money wise. So
I totally get that. So, I mean, that's just where we're at on that. What really does look fun and simple or, too good to be true, always second guess it.
right.
And it's sad because, like I said, some of those games are cute. I like reading the responses myself. I won't participate in them because I'm afraid of the outcome and I don't need any bad luck. I
Right.
got enough of that without it. So enjoy your chit chatting with everybody. Oh, and then another scam is where they come on and, oh, you're so pretty and I keep seeing your post and this and the other, but can you send me a friend request?
Right.
Okay, well, you say you're seeing my stuff, so so you got to watch out for those. I had a guy friend me, and we had a friend in common, so I went ahead and I accepted it. He started out being very polite, very sweet, and then all of a sudden wanted me to be talking to him and stuff, even though I already told him I don't think my husband would appreciate this.
Right.
So that was another alarm. So I just hit the delete and block.
Yeah.
So what else do we have for today? We have a budget, spending habits. The
Oh,
one thing we all know we should do that we don't. Well, I shouldn't say we all, because some people are very on top of it and have it together. So the first thing you want to do to save money is track your spending.
right.
Even if you just get your simple little notebook, every time you spend money out of your bank account, make sure you're writing it down, and you'd be amazed to find out what you're spending that you don't even realize.
Mm,
What you think is nothing ends up being something.
that's right.
So then you have establish a budget. That's always first and foremost. And generally, when you go to establish your budget, what you really should do is things that change monthly. Always give yourself an allotment on that until that bill comes in, of course,
Right.
And then if you set it up to where it's an automatic thing, so you're like you say, my electric bill's only 100, but I want to put 150.
Mm-hmm.
Just think that $50 is building up every time you don't use it.
Excuse me.
Mm.
I'll have to turn that off. I didn't realize it was up.
Okay, then we have set up saving goals.
Right.
Several ways you could do that. You could do it in a Christmas fund. Do you know, even though it's your money, if you set up a Christmas account, if you withdraw ahead of time, you lose money. So that you're going to stop and really think, geez,
Right.
is it
Well,
worth it?
and outside of the States, I don't know how banks work it overseas or anything, but I know banks vary from bank to bank over here, and some banks allow you to withdraw that early without any repercussions. But there's others that absolutely refuse.
Right. Even if, you could tell them it's an emergency and they still say sorry,
Right.
Another saving thing, CDs.
Yes.
They are still around. They're still bigger than what people realize. I think you have to start one at 50. I think you have to have at least 50. And you pick your length of time on the CD. You know your interest
Right.
rate. You know how to figure all that out. You have all that figured, and then don't try to cash it before its maturity. And then when you do cash it, if you really feel you have to take some of that money, just take a little bit and then flip the rest back into another CD.
Right.
The CD lengths are not so long that you can't maintain without them. And then all of a sudden, there's going to come a time where you're going to say, okay, I'm ready to retire. And that CD is ready to cash out and you're going to be set to go.
Right. Yeah. And in the research that I've done in the past on CDs, most of your banks here in the States, when you go to set up a CD, they ask you how long you'd like it for. And most of them start somewhere between 3 to 6 months for their shortest term limit.
Yeah. I mean, that's not bad either.
Right.
And like I said, though, you'll always watch your interest rate because that's what's important. That's where your money's coming.
Yes, that is true. And in my experience, most banks offer a better interest rate on your CDs than they do a savings account. So,
Absolutely.
um, if you get 1.5% interest on your savings account, you might see 2% for your CD, which doesn't sound like a 0.5%'s an awful lot. But if you start a CD with $100, that that
Yes.
0.5% over that time frame is going to increase by $10.
Yes.
So
And like I said, don't cash them, just flip them. Just flip them over and you're doubling your money.
right.
Nice and easy. It's not there. You can't touch it. So, and there's such thing as the automated tools.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, this is how this is worded exactly. Another great way to save money is to use automated saving tools. You can work with your bank to set up pre-authorization savings transfers to come out of your paycheck so
Right.
that you don't get a chance to spend that money first. It's amazing how quickly you'll adjust to the change. Another great option is to use automatic saving features offered by your bank. At Huntington, you can schedule regular transfers from your checking account to your savings.
Exactly.
So,
And I know the bank that I go through, uh, they're very good. Not only can you go to your HR representative with your employer
mhm.
and request your paychecks be deposited into two separate accounts. One for
Right.
so much of a percentage for savings and so much a percentage for checking for your daily spending. But my bank in particular makes it really easy um, because from time to time I go to ATMs. Um,
And they have fees too, so you want to
Right,
watch
and
those
and
as
and
well.
and some of your ATMs have fees, and I have to pay those fees.
Mm-hmm.
But for the first so many through the year, my bank actually reimburses me for those fees paid.
I don't know too many banks that do that, so
So,
that's really good.
and I can't remember exactly how many it was, how many transactions it was, but for the first so many transactions of the year, they would reimburse me that withdrawal fee from the ATM. And
Nice.
one thing that I did do to attempt to save a little money, even though I don't use ATMs all that often, was that money coming in from the ATM fee reimbursement goes directly into my savings account.
That's good.
So
For a while, I would, when I worked out in Chardon, that's what I did. I had a certain percentage of my check going in, or a certain amount, I should say, going into savings. And I forgot about it. And then one day when I really needed the money for something, it was there. I didn't have to get a loan. I didn't have to do payments, things like that.
right,
Another thing is grocery shopping. Prepare yourself for it. Make yourself a list. See exactly what you need. Uh, Sometimes if you go two or three different stores, even you have savings there. It just depends on your preference and what you like.
right.
And please don't go to the store hungry because you're coming out broke.
Oh no.
Ugh.
I've made that mistake a handful of times, especially going into Sam's Club. I know that Sam's Club probably sounds a little foreign to people overseas,
Oh
but
yeah,
because I think Walmart and Sam's Club does exist outside of the United States, but I think it's few and far between. Um, but Sam's Club is a bulk food store. And one of the things that gets me every time I go in is that they've got samples spread throughout the store, which is great because you go in.
That's their
Well,
catch.
well, it's great for two different reasons. You go in maybe an hour before lunch, and you're going to spend 2 hours shopping for a month or something like that. Because that's what I would do. I'd go once a month
Okay.
and get enough staples for the month. Um, and they'd have samples of things placed throughout the store. So you go in an hour before lunch, and by the time lunchtime rolls around, you've had so many samples that you're no longer hungry.
That is true. Now, I mean,
But
if they get wise to you, there
now,
could be trouble.
right, but and the other great thing too is that a lot of the samples are samples of things that you probably have never tried yet. New products that they're starting to offer or something like that. So you do get to try it. They tell you how much the price is and tell you where it's located in the store. And you go and pick up a couple of packages. Well, of course, it's a bulk food store. So
Mhm.
instead of a 1 pound package, you're paying for a 10 pound package, which sounds really reasonable, and it actually is in the long run. But by the time you come out of the store, you've spent almost $1,000 for what was supposed to be a month's worth of shopping.
Yeah. I'm guilty of that, especially if your dad and I shop together because, like, technically he has his money in his pocket for like sodas and stuff, but if we're shopping together, he just throws on the cart because, I mean, what are you going to do? You're shopping, so you're not going to sit in you're married, it goes to the same household. So you're not going to sit here and say, okay, well, this is mine, this is hers. So I end up spending more than what I anticipated.
Right.
And that doesn't include the cookies that I see or the this or the that. So we definitely always go over budget one way or the other.
Right.
The bonus is the money he didn't spend that day. When we realize we forgot something, he uses that money to get what we forgot. So it does equal itself out.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else do we have? Taking your lunch to work. It's not a hard thing. If you're buying, like for me, I buy lunch for me and my brother
Mm-hmm.
because it's just a thing we have. He comes in with breakfast. I do the lunch, or he does it, whatever. And of course, we're two different people, so we like to eat two different things. I'm content. I can go buy me some lunch meat, some bread, and just be happy for the week.
Right.
He likes change.
Yeah.
So it's a little harder for me to do it that way. I mean, when you're trying to reciprocate, especially, you can't just go and do what you want to do.
Right.
You have to consider the other person.
Right, exactly. And as far as taking lunch to work, that's one benefit that I have. I've got a really loving partner who makes me a lunch every day for work. And most of the time it's a sandwich. And I don't care because it allows me to have that quick meal and be able to socialize with other coworkers at the same time and whatnot. And really, lunch at work for me is more of a
Snack.
yeah, more of a snack to hold me over until I get back home and I can eat.
Now, when I was first married, I was a good wife. I got made lunch, and then I found out he wasn't a lunch person, so he was throwing them away or giving them away. So I quit making lunches. So, and now, of course, he would probably eat one now, but the job
Right.
he's doing, he doesn't have time to really sit down and eat, so it'd be a waste anyhow.
Right.
His idea of lunch now is grabbing a bag of chips out of a machine.
And that's not good either.
No, it's
not
not.
not for cost or
Or
health
health,
wise.
yes, I know that. You tell him that.
So
So then we have stop paying for cable TV.
yes, I've not paid for cable in probably 4 or 5 years.
No, actually, I think you had Dish or the DirecTV not that long ago. I think.
Oh no, yeah, you're right. That was maybe a little over a year ago.
Because
now.
we had DirecTV for what, 15, 20 years.
Right.
We decided to try the Roku, the streaming. And the deal was we weren't going to shut things off right away because you wanted to see how it's going to work, if it's going to suit your needs. Well, they gave me a runaround. They didn't want to lower my package or anything, so I ended up getting mad and just shutting everything off.
Right.
We saved tons of money. So then I decide subscriptions. I went through and cut out all kinds of subscriptions that we didn't need. And guess what? I saved even more money. So those are definitely things you want to think about. Cable's not a necessity anymore. Internet, shop around because you can get some really good deals on your internet.
Right.
It doesn't have to be $200 and $300 a month. I always have an emergency fund. I call my emergency fund my husband. I mean, I do.
Right.
I mean, if it's something stupid or silly, he's going to say, no, not right now, you're not. But when you really need something, it's okay. He's either pulling it out of his pocket because he saved it that way,
Right.
or he's able to go to the bank. So that's always important because you never know. Things do go wrong. Unfortunately, there's times you got to spend money on things you don't need. Let's try, buy used instead of new.
Yeah.
And of course, that would probably depend on what you're looking, to get yourself into.
Right. And I do have a very good example of that sitting right next to me, actually. I got into mobile DJing and whatnot. And one of the things that kind of kept me from getting decent equipment right up front was the sheer cost.
It's
for
expensive.
to get everything brand new, you're looking at thousands of dollars just for a simple DJ setup to play a small party or a small club or something like that. But I was fortunate to be able to look on Craigslist and eBay and things like that, and found used equipment that was well taken care of for a really decent price.
Right. Well, it's the same. When we started talking about me doing the podcast, I started looking at better computers to have at home. And of course, the pricing on them was ridiculous.
Right.
And I just happened to find refurbished ones. And so I ended up getting my computer, and I saved more than half of what I would have bought a new computer for.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, it was just amazing. Another one is unsubscribe from tempting marketing emails. We get them all day, every day. I mean, if we're all honest, that's probably the majority of our emails nowadays.
You don't want to look at my inbox.
No, you're like your father. He's got everyone from the time inboxing became a thing. But I mean, yeah, if you know that you don't easily sway away from things, unsubscribe from these emails. A lot of the stuff they're advertising isn't even worth buying. You're better off to look at the stores yourself, because if they're
Right.
saying, well, you're going to save this much, chances are good the product isn't going to be the same as you're going to spend in the store anyhow.
Right.
So,
And on that same note, there with some things, there is a benefit to creating a subscription. For instance, Manscaped is one that I subscribe to, and I personally think that for me it is a really good deal, because every 3 or 4 months or something like that, they automatically send me my body wash as well as a couple of other extras. Like every other shipment.
right.
So I get those couple little extras, and getting that subscription service through them actually discounted the soap that I really do really like. So it's one of those things where you kind of do have to weigh the pros and cons of that subscription service. Is it worth it for you? Is it something that you need? So,
But like, I got my dog the Bark Box.
mhm.
It was a wonderful idea. It still is, because you get the different snacks and toys. But I have a huge tote upstairs of toys that my dog's not even playing with. And then I have, was it 2 or 3 basket type things downstairs. And what she does is each month when she gets a new one, she plays with it for a little while, and then she goes back to being lazy.
Right.
So now I have all these. I could probably make some money off these toys. That's how many I have in my house.
Probably.
But however, I unsubscribed from it, and somehow I still received one. So we'll have to see where that's going to go.
Right.
So do you have any other suggestions on savings and funds?
See, one of the biggest things that eventually helped me is that I wound up getting myself into a little bit of financial trouble. Um, I was going into training for the military, and I had a cell phone payment, so I didn't have any money at the time. So I called up the cell phone company and said, look, I can do a promise to pay. I should be getting paid on such and such a date, because that's what I assumed my first payday would be. And I was way wrong. And I wound up losing my cell phone service temporarily. And along with that, I lost my checking account. So when I got back home, I had to wait so long before I could open up another checking account through my bank, which was a blessing in disguise for me. So when I did find my first civilian job, what I was doing was having my entire paycheck deposited into my savings account, and then I would pay all of my bills with cash where I could. And if I couldn't, I would get 2 or 3 checks from the bank, because most, at least here in the States, if you don't have a checking account, most banks will write you a check, a cashier's check for a small fee to be withdrawn from your savings account. So, and I got paid every 2 weeks, and found that at the time, because I was living with some friends, so my living costs were actually quite low at the time. I was able to pull out like $300 a pay or something like that every 2 weeks, and I didn't touch anything else. That $300 is all that I had for 2 weeks to pay my bills and put fuel in my car, and get all my necessities and feed myself for 2 weeks. So with me doing that, it forced me to scrimp and save my money that I had on me, because that's all I had was cash. And I wound up being able to save up within no time at all a couple of $1,000s.
See, that's always
So,
good. Always. And another thing, the buy here's, pay here's, they're tough ones.
yes,
I mean, they come in handy, been there, done that. The rental places, you're going to pay $500 if you go to the store, but you're going to pay $1,500 or $2,000 if you go to a rental place. So try your best to avoid those. That's very, very important.
yes. And along the same note as the buy here, pay here's, whether it be for furniture, electronics, or vehicles, you want to stay away from the pay advance places as often as you possibly can. I know a couple of times I've gotten into a bit of a tight spot, and I've wound up having to use them, but I tried so hard to make it to where it wasn't anything more than $100 or $200 that I could pay back on my next paycheck.
And thankfully now I think they work different. It used to be like you would borrow, and then out of your next check you go pay it back. But now you had to borrow $200 or $300.
Mm-hmm.
So now your check is going to pay that back plus the interest in it, and then you have to borrow all over again. So it's a vicious cycle.
Right. Yeah, I know it might have been for well, the one pay advance service that I'd gone through, I was fortunate to find them, and the way that they worked, it was that you borrowed whatever you needed, as long as you were approved for it, because it is really like taking out a line of credit from a credit card or something like that, and then you were supposed to pay it all up front on your next payday.
Right.
But they did have the option. I haven't used them in quite a long time now, thankfully. But they did have an option to where if you couldn't afford that full amount right then, you could break it up over 4 different pays.
Yeah. Well, now I think you go into a contract and they just take out so much per pay.
And that might be dependent on the pay advance service that you're using.
That is true too.
So
there are some. Well, I think when the new laws came out, I think some of them cut back and disappeared.
Right.
Because they realized they couldn't gouge you anymore. So
right.
Yeah, the law stepped in and said you can only charge this much of an interest rate,
Mm-hmm.
and this is what you have to do. So some of them actually made some changes, made it fit so that people could use them if need be, and they could still make some profit. And I don't know what he's doing over here, but he's looking at me really weird. So,
No, my chair's gone a little funky, so I
Oh.
want to fix it.
so yeah, those are definitely things you want to think about. Coupons, please coupon. My mom did, and she did a wonderful job at it, tried to teach me, and I was an epic fail at it. But there's always ways to cut corners. I don't think couponing is as big as it used to be, but I know people are still doing it. Leftovers. There's nothing wrong with leftovers. Sometimes we purposely make a meal big enough to have it a couple times.
Right. I know for quite some time because I work third shift and well, my partner does too. So what we were doing for quite some time, especially over the summer when we didn't really want to do anything through the week because it
Right.
was too hot and muggy and things like that, we would take an evening on the weekend and decide a really nice meal for us to have together on the weekend, say on a Sunday night or something like that. And say it was spaghetti meatballs or chili or something like that. And what we would do is we would make enough for us to be able to take that meal to lunch for us for the week. So
And then I tried for a long time. For the longest, your father and I worked opposite shifts.
mhm,
So I was actually coming home and I was cooking for you guys and me, and then putting something in the microwave for him. I mean, the good thing was he still got to eat what everybody else got to eat. The bad thing was he got his out of the microwave and had to sit there by himself to eat.
right.
So I actually had tried this, preparing my meals on a weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And the first few times I thought it worked really good, but then we started getting off kilter, I guess I want to say,
Right.
with it. And of course, once you do that, it just kind of gets put aside.
Yep.
But it was nice because I would come home, and we had busy lives between the activities at school. I worked 10-hour days. I drove 2-hour days. How much time do you really have left?
Right.
So I spent Saturday and Sunday cleaning, cooking, doing
Mhm.
laundry and stuff. And then on Monday, I would come home, pop something in the microwave. You guys had a nice meal,
Right.
and we didn't have to wait hours to eat.
Right. And
So-
and that's always a benefit. And something that I've seen on Facebook quite frequently as well is crock pot meals. A lot of the ones that I see on Facebook are actually quite inexpensive.
They are. I was trying that, especially when it was just your dad and I, and we were
Right.
still at the opposite shift thing. And oh my God, I was really amazed at how much I saved.
Right. And most of those crock pot meals take mere minutes in the morning while you're getting ready for work to
Yes.
put together. You put it in the crock pot on the leave warm setting or something like that. And
I always put mine on low, but
yeah, and then by the time you get home from work, you got a nice hot meal that's really delicious, something that you really do
Yes.
want to eat for
and
very
most
little
most of
input.
them have all the ingredients you need. There's a
Right.
few where you might have to grab something a little extra here and there.
Right.
But when you think about it, so if you're making chicken and dumplings, you're gonna buy the chicken, the stuff for
Mhm.
the dumplings, the gravy, the veggies. By the time you're done, you're spending what, 30, $40 nowadays? You buy the
Right.
meal for $5, add some water, milk to it, whatever the case may be, and you have a meal.
Right. And while we're on the subject of meals and even saving money a little bit too, meal prepping. That's become a really big thing all over social media as well.
Yes.
You see moms and wives and packing lunches for their kids and husbands and whatnot. And part of that in their daily routine is meal planning for the entire week ahead of time.
Mhm.
And what that does is it allows you to look into your pantry and your refrigerator and freezer to see what you have and decide to make meals upon that for a portion of the week,
Mhm.
because we all know that sometimes we let our stores go a little low.
Right.
And then whatever you don't have to be able to fill that the rest of those meals with, you decide, okay, well, I'm going to do chicken on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's going to be some sort of a chicken dish. So you can decide, well, one package that's maybe 5 pounds of chicken breast will supply those 3 meals, and you meal prep with that, and not only are you wasting less food, but you're saving money. And I think that's one key thing to remember is the less you waste, the more you save.
Right.
So,
And I agree with that totally because, like I said, there's no reason you can't. I mean, and you don't have to make like spaghetti today and have it tomorrow.
right,
You could do the spaghetti today, something else tomorrow, and then the following day do the
Mhm.
spaghetti, and then whatever you have to do something else. So when you think about it, that's you cook for 2 days and you eat for 4.
right.
You can't go wrong.
And on the same note as saving it for a later date as well is freezing. There's so many meals that take to freezing really
Very
well.
Yes.
In the wintertime, I think a lot of us, I know you and I both do, but I think a lot of us really do enjoy like a nice thick chili or a stew or something like that. So you can make, say, 20 gallons worth of chili and soup and stews, and freeze that. And you take, say, one Saturday or Sunday to make that large batch over the course of a couple of weeks, to do a few different things.
Right.
So that you've got variety. And then you freeze it in smaller single serving, 2 serving containers. And
Yeah, and they have the containers now pretty cheap too. When you
Right.
think, and it's not like you have to keep buying them because once you empty that container, you wash it. It's reusable.
right,
And those press seals that they have out, those are wonderful because if you buy chicken today,
mm-hmm,
in a month, it's freezer burnt.
right,
You use a press and seal, it sucks all that air, everything looks good. And so basically, you're going to spend the money to get the press and seal, but if you do it right, you're going to get your money back.
right. Because like you said, in a month, whatever meat you put in the freezer is freezer burnt. And so you remove that air from that packaging, and if your freezer's burning or burning your food within a month, you'll get say with raw chicken, if you're buying a large portion of chicken and splitting it between several meals, you've got, with most meats, a year of shelf life if
If
it's
it's
stored in
done
the
right, yeah.
freezer.
Generally, sometimes I say 6 months, but like I said, if it's done right, yeah, you can.
Right.
But because the hard part for me is, I never know what your dad's attitude is for food that day. If he's had a nice relaxed day,
Right.
he might be able to eat a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a ooh day, he might not even eat the first portion. So what am I going to do
Mhm.
with all this food?
Right.
But it's also cheaper for me to buy the packages.
Right.
I could buy like 3 pork chops,
Mm-hmm.
cook them. He's either going to eat it then or the next day, so that is taken care of. But I just spent on 3 pork chops what I could have spent on 10 pork chops.
Right. Right. And you might suffer with quality a little bit, but generally, I don't think so.
No, you have to know how to pick them.
So, and that's really the big thing with saving and not wasting is learning how to shop and store, so that you're
Yes.
not having to throw out 20 pounds of food every so many months.
Right.
So
So that's what we have on saving. So Donna, I hope you're listening, and I hope that's the answers you were looking for. That's what you want us to cover. Now we have some good stuff.
oh
Haunted places in Ohio.
oh
And I really don't think we're going to cover them all because you would be surprised how many we have.
So
And
can I pipe in for a
you
minute
go
here?
right ahead.
So I have a friend that I was setting up a video chat room with for a minute right around Christmas time, right? And um, you know, we both know, I think, a handful of people that like to watch those haunted shows and whatnot.
Mm,
So the subject came up one day, and he says, "Oh, well, that's a grand idea to make, maybe like a few dollars or something like that to be able to support the service that we were trying to offer, so that it wasn't all coming out of our pocket." And he was thinking that we could uh, get the patrons of the video chat site to sponsor a trip to some of these haunted places that we've got around.
okay.
So maybe while we're on the subject, that's something that you and I could do every now and then, is go and tour a haunted site.
Haunted is not really my thing, and you know that. But as you know, I'm kind of getting out here and trying things. So I might be willing to try it once. I'm on the subject because somebody requested it, not because it's my favorite thing. But we do have some interesting places in Ohio, and I don't even have them all. If you go to my site www.diggingwithbonnie.com, there's a list of different places, their hours, how to locate them.
Mm.
If I wasn't able to find that information, I did state that, like for instance, we have an Eden Park gazebo. Right now, it's saying it's temporarily closed. I'm going to assume because it's a park and we're still dealing with the winter weather. So this Eden Park gazebo is in Cincinnati. This haunting stems from a jazz age marriage turned bad romance. On October 6, 1927, Imogen Holmes was on the last day of divorce proceedings against her husband. Okay.
I think that was a bit of a typo.
Yeah, I think so. George Ramus. Ramus, a bootlegger recently out of jail, chased down her carriage in Eden Park and shot her to death. Imogen had worn black that day, too, and I don't know, they blanked that out. Some say she still wears it to this day. The lady in black can reportedly sometimes be seen near the gazebo where she was gunned down, quietly taking in the view at twilight.
Mm. If that were a trip that I could make within a day, I'd probably try to go.
Well, I have a feeling you would probably try to go to everything on this list.
Probably. I don't know why, but those. I like researching places that people say they've seen things. But my big thing is that I don't want to know what they've seen before I go, because then
You're looking
I'm
for
looking
it.
for it.
I get that. Okay. Okay, so then we have Malabar Farm in Lima. That's not too far. Celie Rose was an awkward farmer's daughter in love with the neighbor's boy. She believed her family was keeping the two of them apart, so she fed them pie laced with rat poison. Since 1896, the farmhouse has seen a stint as a Hollywood hangout. Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall were married there, but its stint as a haunted house has run a bit longer. Visitors have reported ghostly voices in the hallways, and some have seen the silhouette of a young woman sitting near the window of Celie's room, watching timidly from above. Could you imagine just be walking and all of a sudden feel like somebody's watching you and you can't?
Now, see, I've had that.
It's creepy.
It is. And like, the hard part about it is that you're walking, and of course I'm a night person, except for on the weekends, of course. So when I wasn't working and I was still a night person over the weekends, I'd be out gallivanting in the middle of the night over the weekends on my time off from work. And I'd be going to, say, Walmart or something like that. And of course, Walmart at midnight is like completely dead to the world as far as like patronage goes. So I'm walking into the store, and the the parking lot is desolate, hardly a car to be found. And out of nowhere, I feel like somebody's watching me. So I turn around,
You're
and
looking and
I'm looking, and like I get creeped out. So I wind up walking faster to get into the store where I know there's personnel working the store, and
Well, I know
I'm
when
not
I was
alone.
younger, sometimes my mom would send me places, yeah, like in the neighborhood.
Right.
So we lived in an apartment complex, which was a long road. So she'd say, "Oh, hey, can you go down to so and so's house, whatever?" I would always swear somebody was following me.
Mm,
So I would start that walking fast.
right.
Then I go into a run, and I just wasn't going to wait around to see if anybody was there or not.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I've had that feeling a handful of times.
It's eerie. It's
Yeah.
am I going to make it home? Is somebody going to snatch me?
Right.
So then we have the Fairport Harbor Lighthouse. It's in Fairport Harbor. It's about 45 minutes from Ashtabula.
Hmm.
It's known as the light shown for 100 years. The Fairport Harbor Lighthouse is now home to a maritime museum, and for over 100 years, inhabitants, sorry about that, and visitors have reported sightings of gray cat briefly skittering through the lighthouse. One museum curator even felt it curl up in bed with her. Ooh, local historians trace Sento back to the late 19th century when lighthouse keeper Joseph Babbitt took in a host of cats. I thought I did double-sided that. To bring comfort to his bedridden wife.
Mm.
The local legend gained credibility in 2001 when workers installing air conditioning in the basement found the mummified remains of a gray cat. Are you speechless?
Slightly. Um, the see, because I shouldn't say that I'm a haunted house buff, because like I don't read up on the stuff or anything
Right.
like that. I'm not familiar with a lot of the haunted places that we do have around us. But one thing that I do like to do when somebody tells me that we're going into an area that's or into a building that's supposedly haunted, like I said, I don't want to know what they're seeing. I want to
Right.
experience it for myself, one. And two, the first thing that I do is when I do experience something like that, I look for what it can be physically without automatically jumping to the conclusion, oh, it's a ghost.
Right. But keep in mind now, these are just touching.
Right.
Now you'd have to Google because these stories are definitely more in depth. I didn't want to give the whole story because, as you're saying, go see it, check it out for yourself. This is to entice you.
Right. But the thing that's enticing me on this one is that legend, I think is what it said, was substantiated in 2001 when maintenance personnel or contractors were
Mhm.
installing air conditioning and found what people were seeing. That, oof.
Hmm. So let's hit Hilltown. It's in the peninsula. It's our sad duty to inform you that Helltown, a cluster of abandoned homes in Summit County, the area has been a source of an amazing amount of local lore, including satanic rituals and a chemically enhanced giant python, a school bus full of dead children, bless you. But there's nothing technically supernatural about this place. Instead, the real horror of Helltown was a bureaucratic incompetence in the 70s. The federal government used eminent domain to seize houses in Boston Township for the Cuyahoga Valley National Park, uprooting dozens of families' homes that sat vacant for decades afterwards. Today, the trees and grass of a clearing in the CVNP are all that remains of Ohio's own private hell.
Mm.
If that doesn't qualify as haunted, nothing does.
And oftentimes, sorry, I need to grab a tissue. Oftentimes, haunted places are abandoned. One quote unquote haunted place that I visited was out in Madison, I think. It was a sanatorium at one point. You might have it on there.
Talk about Mansfield?
No. No, I'm not seeing it on there. But at
I
any
don't
rate,
have anything in Madison on here. Like I said, there's plenty more that
Right.
you know.
but and that place until its current owners have obtained it was abandoned for quite some time, and it's why it's a common thing, I don't know. Maybe people see it's abandoned, nobody's here anymore, and it's got that creepy factor to it.
It does, and a lot of your abandoned homes, at least back in the day, came about because of something tragic that happened there. So
Right.
when you take that tragedy and then you mix it in with, of course, the stories that are going around, the fact that it's been abandoned all these years. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say none of this is true. I've not gone to them. I don't know,
Right.
but a lot can play into this.
Right.
So then we have Moonville Tunnel in MacArthur. I'm gonna let you take over so I don't start my coughing jag this week.
So Moonville Tunnel in MacArthur, an isolated mining town on the Marietta and Cincinnati Railroad. Moonville sprang up in the 1850s and dried up before the mine did. What's left of it is the creepy concrete tunnel in what's now Zaleski State Park. Trains could be dangerous as many as two of them in or near the Moonville Tunnel. Several of the dead were lantern-carrying brakesmen, responsible for the safety of stopping the trains. And to this day, some visitors report seeing a swinging light in the tunnel, with others claiming to have seen a dark figure carrying it. That was a bit difficult to read with the blanks.
I
But
don't know
I-
why
I-
it's like that.
I think we got the point. It seems. See, we've got something similar to that right here. Well, in your town anyway.
Talking about Tinker's Hollow.
No. The Ashtabula train disaster.
Oh, yeah.
So it's similar in that respect, but that can be quite fear instilling.
Very.
Because as many people I think know now, with the modern day diesel electric locomotives, know that we don't have brakemen anymore.
Right.
So and brakemen, of course, as this is stated, were responsible for stopping the train, and modern flashlights didn't exist then.
Right.
So to see somebody carrying a lantern, even today, like it's a real person carrying an antique lantern that's lit because of dramatic effect for something that they're doing. Maybe they're on YouTube and making a YouTube video, so they want that dramatic effect or something like that. And if you're walking down the street and you see that, that could be quite fear instilling.
It can be.
So let's see, what's the next one? Franklin Castle in Ohio City. German banker Heinz Tiedemann had a 30-room structure complete with turrets, gargoyles, and secret passageways built for him and his family in the 1880s. The Tidesmans moved in and promptly started dying. 5 of them in the house, and Haynes himself not long after he sold the place. Generally considered cursed, the property has belonged to many owners since then, mostly not for very long. The horrors described therein include cold spots, ghost children, inexplicable organ music, and a heating bill you wouldn't believe. Now, one thing I would like to dispel in most cases is the organ music. It wasn't until so it wasn't until Count Dracula had started coming about with the film adaptation from Mary Shelley's book.
Right.
Or no, Mary Shelley was Frankenstein's monster, wasn't she? At any rate,
I don't do
I'm getting authors and books mixed up, I think. But at any rate, in the first adaptations of horror films, of course, many films even today are derived from books and converted into screenplays and everything.
Right.
The director of the film wanted to add an additional element to the sound effects and the music, and decided that Count Dracula should be playing an organ. And now the pieces that Count Dracula was playing in the film were actually quite ornate classical pieces, that many of which were actually written for the church.
Okay.
So to have that music be synonymous with horror movies has, in today's culture, made it a terrifying thing to be in movies. And because I think because of that, modern day media automatically puts into our heads certain things.
That is true.
So now I'm very fortunate that I'm not a very vivid thinker. Like, I know what I think, but I can't paint pictures in my head really, let alone music. So I don't generally, if I hear it, I hear it. It's something there.
Yes.
It's not made up in my head.
Well, it's like you said that, and this is no offense to anybody that reads cards or, gets involved in it. This is just my personal opinion. But if you sit here and you read my cards, everything you say, I'm going to be looking for. Right. It's going to be, oh, wait a minute, he said that. Oh, So it's like mind over matter in a lot of areas. So, and unfortunately, we're running out of time for today, so I still have more on the list. We'll cover some more next week. If this is something everybody's really interested in, we'll keep digging and finding more. I will watch how I post on the website, though. I was notified the other day that there was 12 updates sent to somebody. You posted 12 times. What are you doing? So I didn't realize that. So I have to figure that out, so you guys aren't getting dinged every time I decide to get on here and play games. I'm still getting everything refreshed. Tomorrow, if everything goes well at noon, if you want to tune into www.qthradio.live, they're going to have DJ Flashback with Smashin' 80s.
That's right. That is right. And it's going to be a fun one. I do hope that everything works out appropriately so that everything goes smoothly.
Yes.
Of course, operating a radio station is still quite new to me.
This is all new to me. So
I've only been going at it for a couple of months now. So as I go and I get more equipment, I'm definitely operating on a bit of a learning curve.
And at the rate he's going, I'm gonna need some of this equipment too. So I do have Cash App for donations. He's like, "Oh, Mom, look, we need this. Oh, we need that." No way.
Well, and that's another subject to bring up as we're getting ready to close out here is monetary support. Um, I think we both understand that not everybody can appreciatively be able to um, give some monetary support. But
That's interesting. Yeah.
is there a place that they can go should they be able to and be willing to?
I never really thought about that, unless you set something up that I'm not aware of.
Not as of yet. It's not something that I thought about until just now. So
That's something we could look at later. Do you remember we're going to be at the LGBTQ plus?
yes,
Ashtabula County Fairgrounds, Jefferson, Ohio, on June 3rd from 10 to 5 or 11 to 5.
yes, I'm sure that the both of us will be going live periodically throughout the
Yes.
day.
And he's got the station, so that can run all day, but I'm not going to sit here and expect you guys to listen to a podcast all day long, so I'll be on and off. It'll depend on the group and who wants to be involved. I'll have my Sensi there as well.
Right.
I don't know. We should have like some T-shirts and stuff that for sale.
Yes.
We're still in the process of figuring all that out. So let's for our businesses today. This morning we had breakfast at Jefferson Diner. It's on the main run. Cute little place, but you do want to get there early because when I say little, I do mean little, and they are very popular. So they get their people in there pretty quick. And then we also have again the Shirt Shack. As I said, he's working out of his home now. Dave Jones. I will post his number for you on my site because I'm not even really sure how far back I got to dig to see it because we chat quite often.
Right.
He's done a lot of work for me, and he's getting ready to do a couple banners for me actually. But I've gotten hoodies, T-shirts, car decals, cups, you name it. I've gotten from this man, and he does wonderful work. So even on Facebook, just put in. I think he's got a Shirt Shack transfers now. You could even buy the transfers and do them yourself if that's what you would like to do.
Nice.
So, yes. So think about all that. When you want stuff, consider it. Please come see us out the Jefferson Fair or Ashtabula Fairgrounds. We're looking forward to meeting some people and hopefully getting our name out here and getting things up and running the way we want them to be.
Right. I think something that I'm going to do with the station specifically for that is set up a meeting room on my website, and of course I can link to it with yours as well, so that at least periodically throughout the day we can pop in there and have a little chat with a handful of people that are following us.
Does anybody need a place to live? Because I might need somebody that can do all the technical work. While he's here, he'd be at my house doing my end. He said he's easy. He's like, Mom, do this, 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 and this. Okay. Yeah, so I got kids and grandkids to teach me this stuff, but it takes me a minute to catch on. Pretty soon, we're going to try running a podcast with me at my house, him here. We're going to see how well that goes. That way, we could always be on here together. I really enjoy having him on here, and I enjoy doing his show with him. So,
and of course, we both, I think, have realized right from the start that there's probably going to be days where I'm not quite feeling up to snuff and I maybe running a bit of a temperature, but I'm still able to be on the podcast, but don't want to get you sick. So
hey, did anybody notice my hoodie here?
Yes. Well,
QTH Radio.
Some of it's a little blurred out because of the green and the green screen background, but it's still legible.
Yes, this is on his site, which he can tell you how to get there. And
yes, so www.qthradio.live. It should be on the screen here in just a moment. Of course, have a visit, listen, and every Saturday morning at 9:30, we've got Saturday morning with DJ Menace, and it's been a blast for the past several weeks.
Yes, it has. I've really enjoyed doing all this.
But and I've been happy to have you on my station, and
Well,
I've been thrilled to be on your podcast.
but you're gonna have to come to my house for a few weeks now.
That may wind up being a tough one every other week.
Yes, I know you seem to work, so we'll get everything all ironed out. Either way, we're going to be here with you. We hope you guys are enjoying this. Feel free to message me with any topic ideas. If you'd like to hear any particular radio show, even I'll gladly take the information and pass it on to him if you don't know how to
Right.
reach him.
Yeah, that is
So-
one thing that I've been doing the past few weeks is theme shows. So if you've got a theme, of course you can visit the website. There's contact forms on my website, as well as Mom being able to get me the information. And
Today we did the 70s, and that was quite a blast. Disco Duck, all that good
Right.
stuff. So join
good
in.
memories,
Yes,
yeah.
it's really fun, and like you go down memory lane, and there's nothing greater than that.
right, and the station is something that, admittedly, I probably shouldn't be spending as much time with, but I am spending an awful lot of time in my time off, to do some research and try to continually add different features. What the one feature that I'm really trying to push for at the moment is to be able to take live callers on the air. So
Yes, that's something else we're going to do too. I have a couple friends interested in joining us, and of course they're not right here, so we're going to make it so we have the split screen. They can be on from their home wherever they're at, and then of course us.
yeah, well, and because we are kind of doing your podcast and my radio show somewhat synonymously, even though we're two different entities, that's something that we can also set up on the same system that I'm working on for my call-ins, to be able to take
My
live
request
callers
too.
on yours.
Okay.
So
So any ideas you have, anything, any suggestions, if you want to just tell me to shut up, no matter what it is you want to do, reach out to me.
right, and I think that that is something that both of us are really good with is constructive criticism. So of course, I know there's things personally that I need to work on with my presentation and whatnot. But if
You get better as each week goes. You
Right.
really do.
but and again, if there's something that either of us need to improve on, whether it be the website's not quite user friendly, let us know. We really do want to know
Yes.
that, so that we can make it a benefit to you rather than a hindrance for you to come
Right.
in. So
Right, because we look forward to being with you guys every week. I know I need to work on my focus. I did good today, though. I kept it. I'm gonna have to just make me an outline, and we're gonna have to stick to it because nobody wants us jumping all over the place. They don't want to
Right.
listen to that.
well, and it can be difficult to follow, and of course with
Difference of opinions. and
my with
bantering,
my
yeah.
mental capacities,
Well, he's not
occasionally,
lying.
I can keep track of what I'm saying, but to hear somebody else bouncing all over the place,
Right.
I do tend to lose track myself. So
So we hope you guys have a wonderful week. We hope you enjoyed the show.
very much
So-
so.